What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure to subscribe and click download and notifications. There's all sorts of crap. John Anderson, Trevor Thomas, Derrick Mays, J.A.
Didn't have the longest tenure with the Packers, but he came at the right time to have an eventful one.
Yeah,
and then he's just a really good, smart guy. Like, I think he got out of football because at some point he's like, I'm going to get out early. I'm going to have my health, and I'm going to be, I have more things that I can do in life than catch a football. But he was, as we said, he was here for some Super Bowls and some high times, which means those are your times. So
these are the best of times.
Yeah.
That's why we're jumping right in, because this guy shared. We tell all of our guests 2 15-minute segments and a 10-minute segment. But when they go off with these stories, I feel like you, the listeners and viewers, will just sit there and take it in, kind of like I did here behind the scenes. It was
where we to put the brakes on greatness.
Exactly. All right, let's jump in. Former Packer wide receiver, Super Bowl champion, Derrick Mays.
The Inside Wisconsin show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
I'm very big into trying to involve myself in the community. My community makes my business, so if I can't help the community, then they're part of what I do today. It's been an adventure. Everybody needs a helping hand once in a while. Could be me, could be my family, friends. It could happen to any one of us. Serving on the board of the homeless shelter, you're humbled. It's not like I do the homeless shelter because they're buying insurance from me. I do it because I want to help the community.
We're a 16-bed homeless shelter, and in my tenure here at Frederick Place, our average has usually been about 12 to 13 residents. I would sum it up as a rehabilitation program for those who are experiencing an unhoused situation and or are homeless in the greater Northwoods area.
It's just not about numbers for me. It's about their families, their friends, my family. I take it personally. We always have people at the homeless shelter. This is northern Wisconsin. You wouldn't think that, especially the winters around here and everything else, they've never had a day that they didn't have at least one person in the homeless shelter.
They have fallen to the point where they are technically homeless and they need our resources. Without our community members who, like Chad, who support us both financially, but more importantly, through just kind words and giving us the cheering to keep moving forward, because we know that we're impacting the community at large, is really something.
It's always more a quote in my eyes because they know I care. I feel privileged that I have a platform that I can help. That's truly important to me.
Former Green Bay Packer wide receiver Derrick Mays, number 80, like post James Lofton and then pre Donald Driver. We'll cover all of it. Thanks for joining us at Inside Wisconsin, man. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Listen, I think you're a great conduit between those two guys. That works out for me. So, he introduces you as former Packer because this is Inside Wisconsin, and we like
That's
Wisconsin people and former Packers. You got a lot of stuff on your resume, from the Notre Dame degree to things you've done professionally. But for the purpose of this show, what's it mean to have Green Bay Packer on your resume?
Yeah, it's such an honor. It really is. And to go from such a storied tradition at Notre Dame to Green Bay, I certainly didn't appreciate it as much when I was younger, as much as I do now. The similarities, the tradition, the culture, all around football, and just being such a pillar in the history of the game of football. Man, I'm so fortunate, and it was a great time too. It's a great period. There've been several, I'd say, periods in the Green Bay Packer era, and for me to be part of the '96 Super Bowl team with Brett Favre and Reggie White, God rest his soul, at the head of our team. It was just magical and just an amazing part of my career. And for the majority part of my career, I was able to do it there in Green Bay. Obviously, went and finished in Seattle with Mike. So 2 teams, 1 coach, not a bad ride.
You get drafted into the Packer organization, and it kind of mirrors a little of Notre Dame. I think you went to a really good team, right? Some guys get drafted and they're into a young core of guys, or it's a team that was 3-13. They're built. What was it like to come into that situation, which was a really good veteran pros kind of team when you walked in there?
Truly, so much so that I didn't realize till years later when I was a vet and went to Seattle to see, the difference. I inherited just such leadership at every position, right? So yeah, it was very comforting. I was the baby of that Super Bowl 31 team. John Michaels and I, Tyrone Williams, we were the rookies, and we had everyone around us just to lead us, and they were all doing it the right way at every position. Again, I can't think of it. We had Robert Brooks, Don Beebe in the wide receiver room. Antonio Freeman was just 1 year ahead of me. So, he was enjoying that same type of leadership that I was, and we got to grow together, Antonio and I. Then you look at the tight ends, you had Mark Tremere, you had Keith Jackson. Oh, my goodness. That's amazing, right? Amazing line. I had my big brother Aaron Taylor already over there at Green Bay from Notre Dame. So having that for formality was big. Familiarity was big. Having him and Craig Hendricks, our kicker from Notre Dame, and then. Man, you go on the defensive side and you look at Leroy Butler, the back of that defense, George Kuntz leading the linebackers, and then you got big dog Reggie White in the defensive line front. Just a remarkable group of people. And when you think about that too, you get past Reggie and Brett, obviously Hall of Famers. Leroy now in the Hall of Fame, and I think we'll have some more, but. It's not like they were, outside of those 3, they weren't blockbuster, headline grabbing names. Now, we had some of the additionals that came in that made the Super Bowl push what it was. And that would be like my big brother, Andre Rison, coming in and stepping in for what Robert Brooks going down, and giving all the wide receivers a swagger. But just an amazing sort of just a group of characters. That's kind of how I look at it. And I was just blessed to be able to just be dumped into it, right? Straight from Notre Dame, straight from South Bend into greatness.
I have like 18 follow-up questions from everybody that you just listed. Like, it's impossible. I'll go with this one. Rookies still get Super Bowl rings, so that's cool. I mean, regardless of how many years you were in. You were here 3 years in Green Bay, and you went to 2 Super Bowls.
We should have went to 3, but T.O. caught that ball, and that was just a random act of occurrence. 100%. It couldn't be more fortunate. Go ahead. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, you're good, man. So that's absurd. I was going to say 2 out of the 3 years you're here in Green Bay, some players never even play, and you went to 2. Very different outcomes, right? Super Bowl 31 to Super Bowl 32, but could you pinpoint a memory or 2 from getting to go to the Super Bowl your first 2 years in the league?
Yeah, I can give you a lot of memories. Not too many I can share on tape, but I think about the highs and the lows, right? The highs in '96, winning the Super Bowl. I got hurt that week going into the Super Bowl. I was backup punt returner, and one of the guys hit me, and we didn't have pants on, and he just caught me at the right space with his helmet. It was just helmets and jerseys, and he caught me. He's trying to avoid me, and he's trying to get out the way, and he caught me with his helmet in my ribs, and so I had bruised ribs. I wasn't able to play in the Super Bowl, but I just think about the pageantry leading up to that week. I think about us just making the trip down from Green Bay. And then I think about the the party later that night after the game. And it was just amazing. But most importantly, I think was so cool was, it's not like this, these days. We got on the plane like that next day and flew back to Green Bay, where it was 3 feet of snow, 10 degrees, and they had open air metro buses that they put us on and wheeled us through Green Bay all the way through downtown, all the way into Lambeau Field, where it was damn near a sellout crowd waiting for us. And man, we didn't sleep. We literally didn't sleep from the time that we had won the Super Bowl till later that night back in Green Bay after the parade. And that's what I'll remember most about 96. And then on the flip side, I just remember being in La Jolla back at our hotel that night of Super Bowl 32 on the deck, me, Frankie Winters, and Brett. And we were literally just going through every play, trying to figure out what we could have done different or what went wrong. And that was just equally surreal. But when I think about it in just retrospect, just the players and the people that were involved in that, I mean, that was just magical too. And, God bless John Elway. He needed it. He was on his way out. I lived a really storied life, and I couldn't take the credit for obviously getting drafted to Green Bay, and certainly not being born the time that I was to be able to enjoy such an amazing era.
Listen, I don't. We're not here to make John Elway's life better. We're here to make our life better.
Nah.
So I'm going to kind of ask you, coaches all the time say, losing eats at you more than winning feels good and blah, blah, blah. And Gilbert Brown literally threatened to punch me in the face when I asked him this. But can you compare like what that high was like to the other side of that, where you're like, the difference in those things?
Yeah, and so I was in Jerome Bettis' golf tournament about a month ago, and Terrell Davis and I were flying back. I didn't have any problems most recently with like Terrell did, but we were flying back together, and we were talking about that game. And he said something that was crazy. You mentioned Gilbert Brown. He's like, Derrick, there were times where I was reaching out to try to pick up Gilbert because in that second half they were just cutting them, they were sliding, and I remember the game just as he did from the other side, and they had a recipe for us to run that ball, and you want to talk about for the first time just being like speechless, and like I never saw our defense vulnerable before. So you want to just talk about gut wrenching, to not have an answer for something. That's sort of the bewilderment that it's more of like, it's bewilderment. It's, it's not sadness. It's not anger. It's none of that. You go through over and over and over in your head when you have such a devastating loss, a loss that that you could have controlled, a destiny, a dynasty that we could have controlled. So it eats at you. I promise you. I there's not a day or a year goes by when a Super Bowl happens where you don't think about, that one that got away. And that's really what it is.
What did you experience from Mike Holmgren during all that? I mean, the same coach for 5 years is pretty crazy. Winning, losing, and then off to Seattle, you guys went. Yeah. What was he like?
Just a roller coaster. Time, man, it teaches you so much. I was young. I was brash coming into the league. Mike had been there. He's obviously from that Walsh tree. And I remember like within the first 2 or 3 days of training camp, I remember Mike came over to me and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, do you need me to, come over here every day and talk to you? I know you're used to Coach Holtz, making sure everything is good and the water and the temperature is good. And I was thinking when he said that, I was like, man, why are you giving me shit, right? I just got here, I took it almost personal because I thought to myself, and I remember specifically Coach Holtz always saying, hey, as a coach, it's my job to figure out what makes each one of you tick. You guys are all different. And I was just wondering, I was like, man, why wouldn't Mike feel that same way? You're the coach, right? You know, I find out years later from Ron Wolf that I was Mike's pick. I always felt that I was Ron Wolf's pick, right? And Ron said, "Hey, man, Mike wanted you with that second pick. Just the way the draft went, we got John Michaels in the first round with that first pick, and yeah, that was Mike's pick. And I didn't realize that till I got traded to Seattle, that I was Mike's pick. And so we go from this relationship on the front end that was certainly not contentious, but just I didn't understand him, he didn't understand me, to not having Mike during that one training camp and seeing what a difference it made, and then being traded and going over to Seattle, and being the only one from that '96 team going over there, and Mike challenging me to, hey, I brought you here to set a winning tradition, to let these people know what it's like to win, and for us to lock up the AFC division champs within week 10, I think it was that year in '99. Man, I really felt proud about that. It meant a lot to me, that Mike was willing to roll those dice and bet on me again, right? You only learn that on the back end though, and so I remember there was I think it was the one of the bowls games out there in LA. I think it might have been the NFL Players Bowl or something that Mike was coaching probably about 5-10 years ago. And I went down there and I just spent the day with him. And I just told him, I said, man, I want you to know I love you. I want you to know, as crazy as our relationships were up and down, life has a funny way of pointing out what's important. And I knew you had best intentions for me. And I said, I just wanted you to know that, man. I really appreciate you. And that was pretty cool, man. It was. I thought it was a good way of putting some closure to my career and his too.
It's it's funny how and when sometimes gratitude hits you in life and different things that you experience, or when you finally get, like, I had a coach that used to always say to me, the more you can do, the more you can do. And I thought, well, what'd you think of that whittling outside a Cracker Barrel, right? And then one time they needed somebody in this job to go run this truck, and I knew how to do it. And I'm like, you know what? That's because the more I could do, the more, but it didn't hit me until I was down the line a little bit. I argue with my family. I argue with people that don't know sports. I'm lucky I've been in a long time, that they don't truly get what it is. They're always like, no matter what happens to you, they think, well, you make a lot of money, so you should have to deal with it. I was at Culver's when I was home recently. I'm pretty sure no one that's working at that Culver's last week just suddenly gets traded to a Culver's in Seattle. Explain to people what that's like when suddenly you're a Packer and then suddenly you're a Seahawk.
Yeah, that was tough. I haven't thought about that in a while, John. And so I'll take you through the day. We were getting, me and Free, it was training camp. We're not always the last ones out of the locker room, but sure, naturally, 3-year vet, 4-year vet, 3-year vet. Free had just become I think the highest paid free receiver in the NFL. And we're heading out to training camp, and Reggie McKenzie, he said, "Hey D, let me holler at you real quick." And he pulls me over to the side, and we go into like the equipment room. I was like, "What's going on, Reg?" And he's like tearing up. I'm like, "Reg, what is going on?" He's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, man. Mike called from Seattle, and he's trading for you." And I said, and I was like, "Okay." He's like, "So, yeah, man." He just had his head down, wasn't making much eye contact. I was like, "Well, Reg, did you have some? I mean, you're upset, man. I don't know what to think about this myself, but is it a bad thing?" He's like, "Well, I mean, come on, man. You're part of the family." I'm like, "Yeah, I believe that too. And but technically, I guess I'm going back to family. It's been 3 months. So, Ray Rhodes and the crew were here for training camp, but I don't think it had really even set in with the new crew, because other than Ray, the whole staff was still here. Hell, Sherm was still calling the plays. And so, it took me. It was after the shock wore off, and there was a lot of crying from the guys. I won't mention any names, but you can imagine some of the when the guys got wind. I was the first one off of that team. There have been players who played with us who came in just for that year. I think about Desmond Howard. I think about Andre.
Yeah.
Ring ceremony. It's us, right? Go ahead.
But explain to people like one day you work in Green Bay and one day you work in Seattle, and you got to be there tomorrow. And
tomorrow, that was where I was going next.
Like, how do you adjust? Like, all my shit's here.
Yes.
And now it's got to be 2,000 miles away.
That was probably the first question I asked, and they were like, "Well, listen, don't worry about that. Just take what you need now, and we're gonna sort all that out." I said, "Okay, I'm assuming that's standard procedure because you told me, because I didn't know anymore." And that's what I did. I packed up as much as I could. And again, I'm 23. I'm single.
That made life a little easier then.
I guess so, but at the same time, I didn't have a support system to sort of handle. Hey, Derrick, don't worry about a thing. We got this. I called my mom, my dad.
Sure.
I think they flew up to Green Bay and started packing my stuff away. I'm pretty sure my housekeeper, I think I paid her to pack up a bunch of the stuff. It was very, very random. Again, you like you said, here you go. And by the way, I fly all the way to Seattle on a Wednesday. I practice on Thursday. We fly back to Indianapolis on Friday to play the Colts on Saturday.
Welcome home.
And welcome home. And the irony of it is, right before I got traded, my grandma, who had been living with me, my dad's mom, who had been living with me, she took ill, and she went to the hospital. And long story short, again, Mike being Mike, he's like, "Derrick, take all the time you need. Stay back in Indy." It was the last preseason game anyhow. Stay back in Indy. Stay with your grandma. Visit your family. Get all your stuff in order. I know this has been a whirlwind week for you. Take your time. And I think I stayed back for about a day or two. I think I left on Monday or Tuesday, and I think we lost her that following Wednesday or Thursday. And it's just amazing because that trade allowed me to go see my grandma. There's no way I would have, if I was in Green Bay, none of that would have been even an option. So again, just another one of those cool life lessons that you got to go through, and then you got to be able to look back. And if God bless you enough to have enough time behind it, you can have some perspective.
Yeah, and looking back now, I mean that worked out unbelievably. Divine, I think it's divine.
Yeah.
All right.
To it.
Back in a second, more with Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion wide receiver Derrick Mays, the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. J.A., it's no surprise that groceries cost a little bit more today, but you can always save at Festival Foods. So here you go, festfoods.com/coupons. There are 4 easy steps for you to start saving with Festival Foods on that website. I remember we used to use coupons all the time, and now Festival sends you coupons directly to your phone. I'm certain you remember the days of using coupon codes when you were younger.
Well, it's even different. It used to be, remember, you just got the coupons in the newspaper.
Yeah.
You clipped them out of the newspaper. So that's how old I am. Not just newspapers, but we clipped them out of the newspapers, then you had to come. The only
And
thing, the only drawback I have now is the place I shop, because we do not have Festival Foods here. So I don't know if it's there. Is every once in a while, like if you're just like, okay, here you get your bill, and then they print out the other coupons. And so you walk away and it looks like you got crepe paper that you're going to decorate your house for somebody's birthday party. But, listen, if it's going to save me some bucks in these environments, I'm willing to, I can go with it. I'm not mad at anybody. You
can save like crazy at Festival Foods. You just got to look for it. It's there, whether it's in the ads, the weekly ads, or online on festfoods.com/coupons, or you get the text messages. There are amazing ways to save, including gas rewards. I got a text the other day that said something about if you spend, I think it was spend $100 at Festival Foods, you get 50 cents off a gallon. We crushed it. And Amanda beat me to using that one. She's like, by the way.
And who pulled the lever quicker and got you there? That's what I really want to know.
She's on to me. It is what it is. All right. Head to Festival Foods to save on your grocery bill. You can do it. Festival Foods. Festfoods.com/coupon. Time for another top 5 list here on the Inside Wisconsin show, presented by the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, a top university in the Midwest. UW-Platteville ranks in the top 50 for best undergraduate engineering programs in the country and offers top-rated STEM programs in healthcare, biology, and more. Learn more at uwplatt.edu. So we've talked about this on the show before, but there is some crazy connections to the state of Wisconsin, the Packers, maybe even the Badgers, now the Brewers, to the University of Notre Dame, where our guy Derrick Mays went. So you came up with this crazy list of, do we have a 3 degrees of Notre Dame?
I don't know that it's crazy. I just know that there are some great connections that some people may be aware of, some people they may not be. Some are terrible, so we're not going to list them. It's a top 5, like when the Brewers tried to make that MB hat, and so they look like Notre Dame instead of the Milwaukee Brewers. That was a disaster.
Terrible.
Right? Do you have that? Yeah, you got that MB hat. Like that was just, hey, let's go from
you're talking about this one?
Yeah. Let's go from the greatest hat ever to that.
Seriously, that's exactly what happened too.
And they put some Notre Dame green in there. It was terrible. So there are just some things, and I just thought, we'll see where it goes. Because as you know, like any good top 5 list, there's all kinds of things that don't make the list that we have to talk about.
That's my favorite.
There is always honorable mention. The good news, I was going to say, usually, I'm like, there's a tie for 5th. Well, now that I think about it, there is, but I didn't have lists separate. So there's some things like literally what's Promontory and Abbott Pennings and St. Joseph's Academy now?
In Green Bay? Notre Dame.
Green Bay. Yeah. Right. So there's that. By the way, get your tickets now, September 5th, 2026. Badgers, Notre Dame at Lambeau Field.
Yes.
Right? That's coming up. Do you remember when I went and I was back for the Lee Remmel Awards?
I was there, yeah.
You were there. And remember the young pole vaulter, a lovely young lady from De Pere named Olivia Fabre.
Go to Notre Dame?
Right? She goes to Notre Dame to pole vault, 6-time state champ. Never really improved a ton, wasn't an All-American, but has become a social media internet sensation.
Wow.
Look her up. She's everywhere. She's fantastic. She's going to rival this Olivia Dunn gal. And she's listen, so she's a great athlete. She's this beautiful young woman. She's got 2 degrees. Like, it's just ridiculous. You're like, okay, nobody should be allowed to be kind of this young, this good looking, and this successful. So yeah, if you look up Olivia, you'll find her. And Olivia Fabre, which is good, she's going to rival Olivia Dunn. So we call her Olivia or whatever. But she's a great connection, right? There she is.
Doing good.
So here we are at number 5. So I'm going to start number 5 and call it Paul Hornung, Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 pick in 90. But in all, and I believe it is more than anybody other than the University of Wisconsin, there have been 30 draft picks. So it's really a 30-way tie for 5th. The Packers have drafted 30 Notre Dame players.
Probably more than any other college
history. Yeah. Wow. So there's Paul Hornung. The other guys that were number 1s were Mike McCoy, defensive lineman. And then you heard Derrick talk about Aaron Taylor. You know that. Yeah. So, starting 50 cents. So 30 different draft picks. So that's number 5. I'm going to go quick because we want to hear Derrick. Number 4 is the Flanagans. Do you know the Flanagans? You should know the Flanagans.
Mike Flanagan, yeah?
No. The Jim Flanagan.
Oh, that one.
So like 3 generations. So Jim Flanagan, who was at Pitt, he gets drafted by the Packers. He stays. His son, Jim Flanagan Jr., goes to Notre Dame, drafted by the Bears, has a 10-year NFL career. He's a Walter Payton Man of the Year. And now his son, Jim Flanagan, I don't know if they call him the third or Jimmy, whatever, plays tight end at Notre Dame High School in Green Bay, 4-star guy. He'll go to Notre Dame in 2025.
Jeez.
So the Flanagans are at number 4.
Got it.
And Jim Flanagan, when he got here, the senior, bought property up in Sturgeon Bay. So if you've ever been to Sand Bay Beach Resort up in that area, Jim's owned that land forever. Wow. And he's got a Sturgeon Bay beer distributorship. So the Flanagans are legends. Number 3 in the connect is Barry Alvarez.
Yeah.
Because we think of him as Nebraska, right? And then he coached Iowa, but he was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame when he took the job in 1990. So with all our heart, we'll take that guy for sure. Yeah. Number 2, do you know Jim Crowley?
Heard of him? That's all I got.
Maybe.
I've heard the name. I don't know who he is. Or
he's not your postman. So he was one of the 4 horsemen, right? That was the great Notre Dame 4 horsemen, the great lead by, Grantland Rice on a blue guy, the blue gray sky, the 4 horsemen ride again. So Jim Crowley is one of the 4 horsemen under Newt Rockne, as famous as it comes in Notre Dame. He was from East High School.
Wow.
So he's one of the 4 horsemen. But the story doesn't end there, Trevor. You don't get to be number 2 just because you played at East High. He then goes and coaches at Fordham University and coaches the very famous 7 blocks of granite, one of whom was Vince Lombardi.
Wow.
So Jim Crowley, East High, coached Vince Lombardi at Fordham, and then he comes here.
City Stadium. Man.
Yes. And then number 1 is, obviously, Curly Lambeau. Another East High guy. He goes to Notre Dame for 1 year, 1918, to go play under Newt Rockne, has a pretty good season. And then in 1919, he doesn't go back. There are a lot of stories why he doesn't go back. He was sick. He had tonsillitis. I just took the Green Bay Packer tour with the great Byron Freilich, my friend. Byron says the reason is lost to history.
Oh.
He says there's no. All they know is he doesn't go back for his sophomore year or whatever it is. And so instead in 1919, he goes to work for the Indian Packing Company and goes and asks them for $250 so they can start a football team.
And that was the year, 1919. Wow.
Curly Lambeau. 1918, Notre Dame, Newt Rockne. 1919, Indian Packing Company. Let's effing go.
We're back, the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor John and Super Bowl champion, Green Bay wide receiver, Packers, number 80, Derrick Mays. Derrick, we just talked a whole bunch about some connections to Notre Dame, all these random connections. Ron Wolf shared with us that he almost changed the green and gold to the Notre Dame colors. Have you ever seen or caught wind of that? Did you ever see those those uniforms?
Wow.
No?
Do you, John? Have you heard of that, John?
No.
No, so the only thing I can think about is the Acme. You remember they did the throwback and they did the Acme Packers, and it was blue and gold-ish. I know Curly Lambeau's an ND guy, but I've never heard of that before. That's new.
Yeah, there was 2 uniforms that he had mocked up, and he was considering changing the colors to Notre Dame. So maybe that's the question is, in comparison to your time in Indiana and Notre Dame and South Bend, what was it like moving to Green Bay with so much of the green and gold heritage that, again, you're used to in Touchdown Jesus Land?
Yeah, like I said, it was an easy transition for me. I could see, other programs, guys coming from other programs, for it to be a bit of a culture shock because of the I don't know. There's so much just pride and pageantry that goes into it that reminds me of Notre Dame. I could think of a handful of schools, the Ohio States and Michigans and Alabamas of the world that maybe could relate. But once you get past the game day, it is Green Bay, and so there's not a whole lot to do. It's funny enough. I was just talking to my old teammate Travis Jervey about that. Jervey and I were talking about how, I think that it was right around 1999, 2000, where it was like across the board where you were supposed to stay in your hometown, in the town where you played. We were so used to going home after the season in Green Bay because no one expected us to stay there because they understood it was Green Bay. So, after the first Super Bowl, man, I take off and I went back to Indy. My second Super Bowl, I bought a house in Phoenix. So, and there was like three of the guys, Robert Brooks and I, we all had off-season homes in Phoenix to go train. It was just normal. It was natural. And you didn't show back up until, OTAs or minicamp. And so I remember in 99 at Seattle, and the season was over. I was like, oh, I'm getting out of here. And they're like, well, when are you coming back? I was like, I'll be back when there's minicamp. I'm not sticking around here. And that was the first time I started to feel some pushback. So, when I think about those guys now, I'll be honest with you. Given the facilities and the accommodations, I mean, I would be able to tolerate living in Green Bay year round now. I would still have an off season home and a getaway, but to have to be there year round as a working member of that program, I'm sure in 2024 it's a lot more palatable than it was in 1998.
Oh,
it's good now.
So you're in Seattle, right? And you go from essentially, right, community owned is our big thing, to like one of the wealthiest men in the world. Tell me how you almost invented Facebook, which would have been like textbook.
Man, that's just crazy. And I don't know where did you hear this story? So
I know people.
Yeah, you got your sources. So okay, great. I get traded. I was on a restricted free agent contract. I re-signed. I did a unrestricted free agent contract extension with Seattle, and so this is in between my first year there and that second year, right when the off season was over. My roommate from Notre Dame, one of the smartest guys I know, he had built an internet company. And it was called DigiNet with a big U, stood for universities. And it was basically a portal for universities to university students to be able to communicate between each other and to be able to create an exchange where they could sell or use books. So you had this sort of exchange marketplace, e-commerce marketplace part of it. And then you had this, dare I say, social exchange in 1999, and I thought it was amazing. I invested in it, of course, because he was my friend. I invested in him. I believed in him. I believed in the idea, and yeah, I wanted to seek more insight and obviously intel. And growing up in Notre Dame, we really believe in the network and the power of the network. Coach Holtz always said the resources you need in life are right under your nose, but it's up to you to cultivate and maintain the relationships. So I believed it. And I remember taking the business plan and I sent it up to Paul Allen's office. And within about a day or two, I get a call from Mike. And Mike's like, hey, I need to see you. It's like, went over to his office and he said, hey, so I heard you sent this business plan up to Paul Allen's office. I was like, oh my God, you heard about it. I'm so excited about it. I started telling him about it. And he's like, no, slow down. He's like, this is not what you're here for, Derrick. He goes, you can't do that. I said, why not? I said, I wasn't asking Paul for money, number one. It's not an executive, finance summary. I just want him to take a look at it. And of all people in the world should know something about this, it would be him. He was like, yeah, Derrick, that's not what you're here for, man. You're here to play football. And so he didn't say it even as he was mad at me. It was just a matter of fact, like, D, I know you, once again, you're probably too smart for your own good doing what you're doing, and you just can't. But I knew then I had to start working on my exit strategy because, if this is the one lane that you want me to live in and play in, and that's football, cool. But, I got a lot of living to do. And sure enough, that was squashed. For me, I don't regret one bit of it. I've had enough successes in my life, but out of like the successes, I got some of my greatest misses that are phenomenal. And the stories and the memories and the little, the rabbit hole that I was able to go down to experience and learn from it, I don't consider them losses. It was just what was necessary for that time. And for me, it was probably necessary for me just to have an understanding and a new perspective of what I wanted to do in life. And I did. I ended up retiring a year and a half after that.
Just think, you could have made Paul Allen even more money if if that thing
That's
goes.
all. That's all.
Because he could probably use another $1 billion.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were talking about inventing Facebook or Amazon. Like there was a weird crossover of buying
you
books.
Heard that, right? And that's all, man. That's all. One thing that it taught me is this, and I'm not trying to get on the soapbox, but I will say this: it did teach me that in life you need opportunity and you need advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I'm not saying you can't. The general you. Some folks are born on first base and second base. That's fine. But in the end, they still have advocacy and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what some of these lessons taught me. And I think for me, just in my later life and career, it's bode well for me.
So talk about your later life and career, knowing full well that you got a boy named Hudson that is a hell of an athlete himself. What are you up to these days? And it sounds like you're chasing around basketball games a little bit.
Yeah. I guess I'll go to you in reverse order. Yeah, right now I'm most excited just being a high school basketball dad. My son Hudson, he's a rising senior back in Los Angeles, plays for Redondo Union. Currently standing League Player of the Year, first team All-State. Coming off of an amazing junior year, quarterfinals in the Southern section, first team all Southern section, pretty remarkable. We're in Peach Jam right now as we speak, finishing up the Nike EYBL circuit, where his team Why Not, is one of the top 3 teams in the program, along with the Carlos Boozer's sons, the Knight Riders, down in Florida. And so we're looking forward to those championship games coming up in the next 2 days, just culminating the club season. And then we'll rinse and repeat and get back into business in about a month and a half for high school basketball. And in between, we're in the heat of the recruiting season. So he's got a handful of about a half dozen of offers currently, Division I programs, scattered all throughout, a couple Ivy Leagues even. His mom was very smart. I can't take all the credit for that. But it's just been remarkable. And at a time in my life where I can be there every minute, every moment. You mentioned something, J.A., about Jerome and his parents. My parents didn't miss a game home or away either, my 4 years. And the Bettises and the Mazes bonded over that. Our home lives are very much structured the same. Jerome is a younger brother, and his big brother Johnny and my big brother David were the same age, and they got close. And my mom and my dad, Mr. and Mrs. Bettis, got close. And I want to be able to remake that. And it's no surprise that we're doing that with our offspring, Jerome and Junior, going to Notre Dame now, playing football there. Jerome being at a place in his career to be able to see it every step of the way. I'm just doing the same thing, man. And I feel like that's what all the work was for. I feel like a lot of my work in my career has put me up to be able to yield and try to give some of this guidance to the next generation.
So you said your wife's smart. Honestly, I don't know what kind of basketball player you were in high school, but her gene might be carrying him too in basketball. Tell Trevor who his granddad was.
Yeah, 100%. My genes are bonus. Roger Brown, Hall of Fame, Roger Brown for the Indiana Pacers, the first Indiana Pacer ever drafted. Mr. Pacer is Hudson's grandpa. So all those genes have come down, and if I was only 4 inches taller, I would have been a hooper. But growing up in Indianapolis, that was what you knew. You knew about basketball. And it was amazing for me to be able to see my wife's dad at a young age, larger than life, just walking through the streets of Indianapolis, and to see his career and what it did and blossom, and then all of his teammates who've come around to embrace Huddy, all the way down to Reggie Miller, who keeps tabs on him and what he's doing and how he's doing out in LA. It's just been a amazing village for Huddy to grow up in, and we know some live bullets that are coming now with college, and it's going to be a big transition for him, but he's got a great support system. Again, that the opportunity and advocacy, we're living and breathing it.
So, and I don't know in the current day if they still send, I don't think they send the media guide along with your recruiting letter, but I imagine you're getting a bunch of those. As you look at that, having gone through that same thing as a highly recruited athlete, what part of that do you go, okay, here's where I step in and help shepherd, and here's where I stay away because this is something he needs to learn on his own, and he might not listen to his dad anyway? Where do you kind of
Great question.
Do those things?
Yeah, I just want to put bumpers. I just want to put bumpers on either side, right, and try to keep it between the ditches, because there's so much out there. There's so many layers and variables now with NIL and the transfer portal. I feel like the decision that you make now, it's so important to get it right, and the criteria for getting it right, I think, is what is incumbent on me to be able to put in place. You can no longer. I romanticize the days when I was able to think about my recruiting process and say, hey, I want to go to a place, that I can see myself growing in, and over time, it's for number one, for basketball, it's such a pressure cooker, that you have to have a strategy for that, what that first year looks like. I remember for me, I was just happy to be there, and I was willing to compete with whoever that was going to be in that locker room with me. Coach Oates didn't make me any guarantees. He told my mom and dad, hey, the only thing I can guarantee you is that if you send Derrick to me, he's going to walk away here in 4 years with a degree from Notre Dame. And that was enough for my mom. Hell, she kicked me out right then, and she said, you can take him back to South Bend with you now. But that was 1992. Right? Totally different circumstances. Now we got to measure 3 times and cut once. And quite frankly, Hudson and I we're fans of basketball. We're not fans of programs. We're not fans of teams. We're not fans of mascots. It's going to come down to, who can I hold accountable to advocate for my son?
You ever heard of Doug Gottlieb by chance? We'd love to have Hudson at Green Bay.
Well, funny you say that, because there are a handful of Doug's teammates, captains of Doug's, who have reached out to Doug and said, Doug, the first person that you need to offer is Hudson Mays, and if not, then you're stupid. And so I didn't say that, Doug. Your teammates did. And so you know where to find us. That's all I'll say.
Doug's an Orange County guy. He knows his way around there for sure.
There's no question.
I need to ask this because you talked about Holmgren and Mike and how you did that. I've had the pleasure to be around Coach Holtz when he worked here. And for the life of me, I don't know how this little man inspires all these guys. Like, what is his magic?
I think I'm going to go back for the time. He was ripe for the time. Could that be accomplished in 2024? I don't know. Quite frankly, I just don't know. I know for the mid 90s and the late 80s, for that time, he was able to galvanize talent from every corner of America and get them to believe in one mission, one goal. And again, I go back to, I think his genius was he took the time and recognized that everybody is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it was incumbent on him to get the best out of each individual and inspire each individual and connect with each individual on a human level. Um, you know, every time he would see me, hey, Derrick, your mom got the best pound cake I ever tasted. And for some reason, she still believes him to this day.
Uh-huh.
Right? So
give me something he said to you one time that maybe demoralized you and you thought, I may never be able to play this game. And on the flip side, something he said to you that you went, wow, I might be the greatest player ever.
Yeah, there's it goes both ways. You're absolutely right. I think about, and there was, times in practice, he would want to make a point and he'd try to kick you out of practice. And, I've seen this, I saw the movie before, some, no, I'm not leaving, coach. He's like, I'm not getting, you get your ass out of here. You don't want to win. You don't want to commit to excellence. Hey, what state are you from, son? I'm like, what state I'm from, coach? You're from Indiana. Your ass from the state of confusion. Get out, get your ass off my field. And it's just, you're dejected, you're embarrassed, your teammates got to go through it. And at the same time, I also know, it's one of the biggest games of the season, coming up. And what he wanted to make clear for the players was just that. I remember he did it again in my Orange Bowl game. He and I was, listen, the year before that, he had this idea of us wearing green jerseys, and it was in the Fiesta Bowl, and we didn't have a snowball's chance in hell in beating Colorado. But we went out during the warm-ups with our regular blue jerseys on, and we come back in our lockers, there's these green socks and green jerseys. I was like, oh God, that's the kiss of death. We're gonna get our asses whipped, coach. Why would you do this? Right? And I think it was, part motivation. Hell, for all I know, it's part branding. I'm sure Champion and all the other folks wanted to do something cool, right? But I just remember that, and then fast forward to my senior year, and we're getting dressed, and it's my last hurrah, literally my last college game, and I come out with these, long white shirt underneath my jersey, and I got this crop top, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? What your ass doing? Come here. And he takes me into his office, and he's like, listen, he's like, I don't give a shit what you wear, man. He goes, but your team, you got 50 other guys out there that are looking directly at you. So all I'm saying is this: you better go out there and kick ass so they follow you. And I was like, hey, fantastic, no problem. I walk back out, and we hug it out in front of everybody, and here we go. And we had a chance to almost beat Florida State, for crying out loud. But my point is, there was always something to it. It was always calculated. It was never just contrived or for show. There was always something behind it, and that was what I think. And again, in retrospect, what I appreciated from Coach.
I was at a Walter Camp event. I've been fortunate enough to work with that foundation a lot. And Todd Light tells the funniest story one time. He's like, I didn't think I could play for him at William and Mary, right? And then by the end of that, he's like, son, you're gonna be a number one draft. He's like, it's just the range of emotion.
Break it down to build you up. That was his tactic. That's right.
Hey, we are in the midst of training camp right now, and this is airing. And so in Green Bay, we go and we sit and we walk, that's vacation. I don't know that we ever realize you guys are working, because we're all having a ball. What is training camp like?
Training camp in Green Bay is a lot better than training camp elsewhere. I'll say that.
Okay.
Partly because of familiarity. These off-site camps and stuff, I understand them. But I think you lose something when it comes to the players. It's bad enough we got to go through these dog days. But for the fact that we had our facility, our stuff, we're not shipping stuff cross state lines or whatever and all that kind of stuff. When there is, a moment that you just want to, I could always get in my car in between lunch and special teams practice and just go to my own house and have a sandwich there and turn on a TV for a half hour before I go back into the shit. Like, that part was what made camps. And by the way, we still, we stayed at St. Norbert. I'm not saying that, I didn't have a bag and stuff like that
Right.
and have to pack, but we ultimately just, that's where we stayed. And we still went and practiced at our facilities. So yeah, camp wasn't like the other camps that you have to hear about or endure. The community's right there, so the familiarity with them, the bikes. I mean, I still stay in touch with my bike rider, Brian Wood. He's back there and a successful businessman and an amazing family man. Those are the stories that stick with you, man. And it brings the human quality to the game, especially to a game where, again, you walk around where you're larger than life to a lot of the public people and the kids. But there it was able to, you didn't have to take yourself so serious. It wasn't the Michael Jackson kind of larger than life in Green Bay. You were still just Derrick. They love that you play ball, but promise you, them old ladies, if you drop the ball, they're gonna let you know that too.
And by the way,
I didn't have to worry about that because I didn't drop nothing. But if
Right.
you were to,
training camp now is Club Med, right? They don't go 2 a days. They spend time in the classroom. They go out once in a while. They got to make sure if it's too hot, we go indoors. If it's too cold, come on. Like, you guys back.
Now I will say there is some method to that madness. I was in Kansas City's training camp in 2001, right before 9/11. And that was one of the hottest summers on the year. And if you remember, I passed out and went into borderline heat exhaustion. And the day that I stayed in the hospital was the day Corey Stringer died, just about 100 miles away from us in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to talk about perspective. And so my perspective changed a whole lot around all that. And hell, I retired within 3 months of that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, shall we wrap segment 2 and move on to segment 3? I don't know. John, you got one more?
Nope. I think I'm good right now. I've got 20 more, but we'll just rapid fire those when the time comes.
That's next. I got 2 and then the lightning round. We're back in a bit to wrap it up with Packers alum, wide receiver Derrick Mays on the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. J.A., there was a big interview that hit the internet the other day in regards to Tom Rinaldi. We talk about him quite often on here, and our guy Bob Uecker. But there's a specific piece where Ueck is kind of reminiscing about the Miller Lite All-Stars from back in the day. Great taste, left filling, and then I must be in the front row.
He is, and I saw that because it aired before the All-Star game. It's amazing that because Uecker still doesn't look 90. I know he's cut back his schedule, but he's just like, here he goes. Yeah. But even amidst, I always say this, even amid, right, all these all-star casts, these are the most popular athletes of the time. And the guy who hit 200 for his career steals the show.
Seriously.
Still steals the show, right? And he always does because he's the funniest. He's the most self-deprecating. And he's just, the guy hit 200. If you ever read his book, Catcher in the Rye, which is not like Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, it's a different one. One is spelled R-Y-E and one is spelled W-R-Y. But he talks about, everybody talks about, that guy's a 200 hitter. He's like, I was literally a 200 hitter. You know how hard it is to hit right at the Mendoza line? One more hit, one more out. I'm 199 or I'm 201. Doesn't get out. I hit 200 in the bigs.
It's impossible.
But it's hard to, I think of that campaign, those campaigns, those great, less filling, taste great ones from even when I was growing up. Like, there are two people that stand out. Uecker and then John Madden, right? Busting through at the end. Like those two. And again, you got everybody. There's Billy Martin. You got every athlete. You got Mickey Spillane, just from everywhere. And those two guys always stole the spot.
And they bring it back now. And our guy, J.J. Watt, is a part of the crew. And the great taste, less filling argument. And now it's just both. Can we just agree that it's both?
Right. It's both. We have too much division in line, the unity of both of them. By the way, my air conditioning just went out here, so I might need to have like 9 Miller Lights to cool down.
Cool down.
Yes.
Highly recommend it. Well, you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/inside Wisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. I just reminisce as I was finishing that like we used to say all the time, you get some random ass Miller Lite from the flower shop. Couldn't believe it. That was fun.
And there was a time, right? Like every time you see a Missouri person, if you just say M-I-Z, that person will say Z-O-U.
Yeah.
Right. You're just not a fit. And I, like everybody all the time, just for fun, you did that. If you just said less filling, that person knew to yell tastes great. Like you just knew the call and response of how it worked.
We are back to wrap it up with Packers wide receiver and Green Bay alum, Derrick Mays, Trevor John. All right, 2 from me, and then the ever-famous J.A. Lightning Round. We've talked to a lot of guys on this show that have played football with Brett Favre, and not a single one of you dudes have straight fingers. They're always crooked. And I feel like that's his fault, right? Am I seeing a pinky that won't go all the way open, Derrick? Is that true?
So yes, and yes. Where am I at?
Right there.
So there's those two just don't go together. So he's responsible for those two. I got another. My wedding ring is tattooed because that was broke. That was 99. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I think thumbs. He got a couple of my thumbs. It's hard to show the thumbs, but you can see right there. Yeah.
Do you send him medical bills every once in a while or no?
Let's not talk about anything medical or PPP or anything about Brett. Let's not. Let's just leave all that.
Got it.
That's fantastic.
Oh man, he's a much better quarterback than he is a businessman.
There you go.
Got it.
You could hear the ball coming before it got to you. You hear it whistling, which is amazing, right? And you knew on a third down, it just humming. You could just hear it whistling coming, and it's like, oh yeah. And what I'll say most importantly about that is, unlike a lot of other quarterbacks, Brett did it for purpose. It was a purpose behind it. He didn't just throw the ball just to be throwing it hard. And I'm not going to mention any names that are just asshole throw the ball hard. Mm-hmm. His deep ball was catchable, right? His over the middle balls, not always accurate, but he had touch. Hell, I think about our Venus route that he and I created. I mean, Mike got mad at. I mean, there's nobody better that could throw the back shoulder. He and I created the back shoulder catch together. You know that, right?
I did not. I just thought he underthrew people.
No. No. So this would be I think it was year 3. Might have been year 2. I'm not a burner. And what me and Brett realized was, and Mike Irvin to talk about it all the time, Mike never wanted separation. He wanted to body, and then separate at the last minute, right? Because he wasn't a burner either. So whether it was me, Chris Carter, Mike Irvin, those guys, for us, I want contact. I need to know where the defender is, and that way, at the very last minute, I can break away and catch the ball. And so for me running a go route, why in the hell would you send me down 60 yards down? And if it's Dion or anybody else, they're going to be right there with me, right? Now, I can go up and get the ball over top or whatever, but what we started was this 3-step drop. Derrick, I'm going to pull you up. And that's what he would say. D, I'm going to pull you up. Mm-hmm. And so I'm running my route. I got my man right here next to me, side by side. All I had to do was look back, and he pulls me up. That's Mike. Come here. Like, what's up? Who told you to do that? I'm like, didn't nobody tell me nothing, Coach. Brett just threw the ball. Brett, come here. And he gets both of us. You guys are drawing up that shit in the dirt again. What are you doing? And so did it a couple more times and made it successful. By the time, I know in the game that T.O. caught the ball, we did one. It was a successful Venus. And if you see it on film, it was cold-blooded because I was going to turn backwards, but I slipped and my feet got under me. And so I ended up going forward with my feet backwards, and I caught the ball literally as it was coming back over my head. And I get up, and sure enough, Mike's excited because we converted first down. But there's that shit, you're drawing that shit up again. He ended up calling the name Venus by the time I got to Seattle. So now by the time I get traded to Seattle, it's in the book. So like, yeah, it's Venus. I'm like, what's Venus? I'm like, oh, that's the route that you shitted on for 2 years. Yeah.
You should have walked up to him and been like, did you draw that shit up in the dirt or what? Where'd you get that? That's awesome. All right, last one from me.
Yeah.
You talked earlier about being larger than life when you played here in Green Bay, but that G never leaves you. What's it like being a Packer alumni when you come back to Green Bay?
Fun as hell. We used to make fun of, we used to, oh, here come the old guys and wheeling the old guys out, right? And now we're the guys being wheeled out. And it's a real treat just to see that whole thing transpire. And the bond that's now becoming, the '96 team, we're quite honestly, we're closer to the Willie Davis's crew than we are to Jordan Love's crew. Half of them people don't know who we are. So that's been cool too, right? Just knowing that the organization, man, they are first class, and if you're their draft pick, you're their draft pick for life. And I really feel a lot of pride and honor knowing that I was a Green Bay Packer draft pick.
This doesn't fall in his stuff or my stuff. I just want to what do you think of Jordan Love? You impressed with him?
I do. I am impressed with him. I've gotten a chance to meet him a couple of times. I dig him. I dig him crazy. And what I am most proud about is how the organization has stayed consistent with developing our Green Bay quarterbacks. That this could have easily went left after Brett. It could have easily went left after Aaron. But they have been consistent about that one spot. And I'm telling you, I believe because of that, we're going to be able to stay relevant for another 10 years. And if they do it right, we'll be able to do it again.
Yeah, I think, and it all sounds good until you're the quarterback and your time comes. But it makes sense, and the guy served his time, and Aaron did too. So, all right, here we go. We're going to go quick, all right?
All right.
Here we go. Describe your first NFL touchdown catch.
Oh, my God. 49, Kansas City, one-handed Venus route.
Nice. Everybody talks about Brett Favre's story. Tell me a Pepper Burris story.
I never met Pepper Burris.
The training guy? The
Oh my God. Pepper Burris. I thought you were thinking about, I was thinking Pepper Johnson. I'm sorry. I had a CTE moment. Well, the one Pepper Burris story, I can't tell that one.
Okay.
You probably can because he's told us.
You're allowed to pass.
Yeah, I'll pass on Pepper.
Okay,
I love
good.
Pepper.
What was it like when they gave you James Lofton's number? Did you know who he was?
I did know James. I reached out and I got a chance to meet him and talk to him. He, I think, was very much ready for that number to be retired, quite frankly. And I thought that was pretty funny. And then what's even funnier, so does Donald Driver now.
There you go. All right, Mr. Indiana. Do you know Kenneth Babyface Edmonds?
I got a chance to meet him. That's my hometown pride, and we're both in the North Central Hall of Fame together. Really exciting.
Fantastic. Better sports movie. Rudy or Hoosiers? Oh, yeah. See, I'm hitting where you live.
Yeah, you messing with me. I love Rudy. I love you, Rudy, but Hoosiers all day long. Jimmy Chipwood.
Very good. Favorite basketball player?
MJ. All day.
All right. Most famous person in your cell phone?
Oh, my. Most famous person in my cell phone. Oh, my. I don't know if I can say a couple of these names in here. I'll start with, you know what I'll start with? Because I can. Sidney Poitier. God rest his soul.
There you go. I sat next to him once at a Disney shareholders meeting that happened to be here, the Mark Twain House. And so I lifted his place card, and I have it in a book they gave us that night.
Yeah, amazing man.
Like, oh, I'm just like, holy crap, that's Sidney Poitier.
My mentor was able to introduce me to Sidney, and it was life-changing.
Yeah, so I didn't obviously have any kind of interaction other than we sat and had dinner, but I'm just like, the guy had presence.
Yes.
You know, that was crazy. Expand a little. Tell me about the regular kid on the bike, since you had a regular guy in training camp.
Yeah. Well, you know, kids all hang out after practice, and it's a country half mile, quarter mile from the practice field back to the facility, and it's uphill on the way back, right? And so what kids do is after practice, they sit there and they say, "Hey, you want to use my bike?" And they'll jump on the back. They put the pegs on the back, and you ride them up, and they take their bike back.
Right.
I met a young man who offered his bike to me within the first day or two of my training camp, my rookie year. His name was Brian. He was a sweet kid. His bike was nice. It was janky. It was too small. So I said, "Dude, let me get your bike." I got him a bike, bigger bike. Right? I said, "We need to get you set up now. We're going to do this." And we did. And he was my bike rider all through the years.
That's amazing.
And by the way, every guy ends up with a bike. Everyone has like that bike story. So I encourage you to, anytime you meet a Packer, ask them who their bike mate is.
That is fantastic. Okay, so you gave us a little Lou Holtz. I love anybody. I'm assuming everybody does the Lou Holtz imitation. Can you do Reggie White?
Oh my goodness, I used to. I used to. So everybody on the team used to call me Sugar Bear. Robert Brooks started calling me Sugar Bear, and Reggie just went crazy with it. And so he started calling me Huggy Bear.
Nice.
And Huggy Bear, come here. Huggy Bear, look at you. When you go shave, you look like Walt Frazier with the beard. I could never grow my beard in. I mean, you know, we have in the fall, you know, hunting season comes and playoff comes, everybody try to grow the beard out in Green Bay. And so I tried to grow my beard out, and that's what he make fun of me. Huggy Bear, you look like Walt Frazier with the
beard. Packer fans or the 12s?
Oh my God, Packer fans all day.
Very good. What number was Packers linebacker John Anderson?
Oh my goodness. Have no idea. I knew there was a John Anderson. It wasn't you though.
Wasn't me.
I knew you.
He was 50. So, he was 59. That's
okay.
Fine. Dumbest thing you bought while you're an NFL player?
Dumbest thing. I'll tell you something that was dumb as hell. This is dumb as hell. So we go over to Tokyo to play the Chiefs in preseason. And me and Brian Williams, B-Dub, USC guy. I don't know how a USC Notre Dame guy became besties on the team, but B-Dub was my bestie. We go over there and we buy a boatload of electronics. I find these amazing, I bought this crazy, it was like a mini disc recorder. You know, that was back then when CDs was the thing. I was like, this is the new thing. And B-Dub buys this amazing stereo system. We take it all back here. None of this shit's compatible. He couldn't read it. He couldn't read the instructions. And my poor mini disc recorder, it only worked with I had three albums, and that was it. It was stupid. Waste of money.
Which, you know what? You walked me right into the last question. Okay, we're gonna let you play one more game.
Okay.
Do you want to beat the Bears, Vikings, Michigan, or USC?
Okay. I never lost to USC for starters.
Okay, so you don't need to beat them.
I never lost to the Bears for starters. At Seattle either, by the way. So there's that. So yeah, I'd probably have to go to the Minnesota. Yeah. Randy was on the team also. Yeah, Minnesota. I'd say beating Minnesota's bigger.
That's
like
not.
I still don't buy gas in Michigan though. So I refuse. I'll walk home if I have to. I'm not buying gas in Michigan.
That's what I love to hear. Derrick Mays, you are a certified beautician, man. Thank you so much for your time. It is awesome. I've appreciated your friendship. I love every time I get a call. I love when you pump me up with about things that are happening with Huddy. Again, I got to get him my man, Coach Gates, because I think he'd look good in Tiger black and gold.
Please do.
You know,
and can I just say congratulations to you, man? What an amazing career. You set the tone and the standard for every sports journalist out there, for all the fans who get to listen to you from all these years. And literally, man, you come into our homes and you make us comfortable. So on behalf of all the fans, I want to thank you too. And just again, as a friend and an advocate of mine, I love you, brother.
Well, you're a good man. This is about you, so I appreciate those nice things. But
Too late.
Inside Wisconsin, this is about your folks. You don't even know what number John Anderson is, so it's all just lip service.
I know you, John.
Anyway, be well, my friend. Thanks so much, and good luck with the college recruiting.
Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging, guys.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
When he said that they're closer to the Lombardi years than they are to these years, that made me feel old, actually, for a change. That's insane. I could listen to the stories from Super Bowl 31 and some, unfortunately, 32, but that's like my prime Packer fandom.
I literally was going to text you. I'm like, I feel like maybe you are just in high heaven. Just listen to stories about your team. That's the one, right? And that's the difference between you and I. I came in between those two dynasties, right? Yeah. I came through these lean years. And so I'm not sure. Like Paul Kaufman was great when he was on here, but it's like, Paul, dazzle me with stories of being 6-10. So
there's that.
But yeah, anytime guys get in there, they start talking about Leroy and they start talking about, Brett, and I just see you and you're just lapping it because these are your guys.
Yeah. Well, there was one point behind the scenes. I love sharing this stuff where you're like, I have two more, and I'm like this going, do whatever you want. I'm just turn them on.
But yeah, really good guy. And I think he's right because of their top five, but there has always been a connection between the Packers and Notre Dame. And I don't know that it is, sure, it's Lambeau and Jim Crowley and stuff, but it's also this small town university with this huge following, I think, and this tradition that you buy into and you take advantage of and you lean into. And, I didn't ask him when the last time he woke up the echoes were, because I don't really know what that means. But I think there are a lot of comparisons as opposed to saying, I don't know, I went to the University of Missouri. So that's
MIZ.
I forgot to ask him if he knew what happened the last time Missouri and Notre Dame played in a football game, if he remembered when it was. And I'm like, I do. I was there, and it was tragic.
Not for him, apparently.
Tragic. No. Well, he didn't play in it. It was 84, but it was tragic. And I'll save that for another day. But oddly enough, the John Wisconsin this week is rooted in Notre Dame and kind of Missouri. Okay, so everybody got to kind of follow me this because we're going to get to the end. And it's
All right, here we go.
So Dan Devine, right? 12 years at Missouri, greatest coach we'd had, unprecedented success, becomes the Packer coach. He's here for 4 seasons, then becomes the Notre Dame coach, and he becomes wins the national championship in 1977. So really, he's the perfect subject for this. Missouri, Packers, and Derrick connecting all those things, right? So Devine is this guy that he comes in, and he had several strange things, right? 1971, the season opener, Trev. This is just for you. I'm pointing this out.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, so they lose to the Giants 42-40, but he gets run over in a sideline collision, breaks his leg, and he's on crutches for a couple of months his first year here. He's there, right? So that's it.
Still
years
healing.
later, Years later now, when he leaves the Packers because of the horrible Hadel trade, he's coaching Notre Dame. They win the national championship in 1977. And in their season opener, 1978, they lose 3-0 to the Missouri Tigers. That's right. We took down Joe Montana, and we took down Dan Devine because he deserved it. Okay? Because Dan Devine makes the worst trade in the Packers' history, and many would consider it the worst trade ever for John Hadel. 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3. And because of that, and my dad's dislike for the man, and maybe I've said that or not, I don't know, but the only Missouri home football game I ever miss is Dan Devine Day. I don't go out of respect for my father.
Oh, wow.
They're honoring Dan at Faurot Field. Here he is, and I have heard my dad rail against this. I have seen him cripple the franchise. So despite the fact that he's this Missouri legend, I don't go to Dan Devine Day. It's the only one that I missed. I will give him this one credit. In 1969, Missouri, Kansas. I don't know if you know, there's a rivalry there.
Never heard of it.
Right. So in that game in 69, the two teams combined for what was then a big, I think they were the Big Seven then, but a conference record, 90 points in the game. Oh. My team scores 69 of them.
Okay.
So the legend has it, and Coach Pepper Rogers of Kansas, allegedly in the fourth quarter, as we are just trouncing these losers in a 69-21. Pepper Rogers always said, I looked across at Dan Devine and gave him the peace sign, and he gave me only half of it back. So that is the only good thing about Dan Devine that we can talk. So here's this Dan Devine. He ruins the Packers. I'm at this crossroads in life. How do I feel about this man? I respect my dad more than him. So now I go to work in Phoenix, where Dan Devine is also a legend, because before at Missouri, he was at Arizona State. And just after I leave, I meet the man once, and that's fine. And he's at a function. And he writes a book. He writes his autobiography. It's called Simply Divine. And he, about his time, he went to Minnesota Duluth, so he's a northern guy, and how he goes through all this. And so I have a dear friend of mine, a gal that worked on the assignment desk and was a producer forever in Phoenix. And I get a couple of copies, and I say, I need you to go sign these, have these signed to my dad. One to my dad, and I think I got one for Byron. And so I give it to him for Father's Day, I think it was. And he opens it up, and then inside it says, Walter, thank you for all your support through the years, Dan Devine. So, and now he's passed away, and I was just home, and I looked, and the book wasn't down there, so I have to give him out. I'm like, where's the Devine book? I need that back now. But after all this crap, here he was. Yeah, Walter, thanks for your support always, Dan Devine.
I thought I was going to say, Walter, I'm sorry, Dan Devine. That would have been.
No, we couldn't do that. No, we couldn't let him in on that. But yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's our man.
All right, good stuff. Another good way to end it. Thanks for sparing us any more of the Anderson All Knowing, because that was special. That was special last episode.
Have we gotten people that are like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, there's been a few that are like, "Wow, okay," and the way, and you didn't talk at the end, and I just, as you were, Wisconsin, yeah. That's how we'll end this one, too. Our thanks to Derrick Mays for jumping on with us and telling some awesome stories from back when the Packers won Super Bowl 31. He was only here 3 years, but, man, did he have a lot of stories.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For John, Trevor, as you were, Wisconsin, we'll see you next time. Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome to Season 3 of Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. For those that don't know, Deeper Roots is the podcast within the Inside Wisconsin show. Myself and my friends at Farm and Fleet travel the state of Wisconsin, and we look to tell the deep-rooted stories that John and I don't tell on the actual show itself, where we talk to those that are most recognizable on the Inside Wisconsin show. Deeper Roots travels the state and looks for the stories that you've never heard of, the people, the stories, and the patriotism of the deep roots of the dairy state. So we're going to kick off Season 3 with a look back at the 2 years of deep-rooted stories that we've been able to uncover. And it's really the heart of Inside Wisconsin. It's why we set out to do this, to help others experience joy through positive stories of those that we recognize and our neighbors, our families, and our friends. We'll kick this show off with a few of the sports highlights. Go do some hockey goalieing. Story of my life. First test is going to be not to fall. Hey, look at me.
Looking good, Trevor, looking good.
I see them like this, right? You gotta, and then
Cutting up the ice?
yeah. So I take it the stick is supposed to protect
The
here.
stick's got the middle, right there.
Noted.
Yeah.
Can't see other. Okay. Protect the middle, Trevor, with the stick. Now you know why I played basketball. Here, you want that back?
I think you're doing great.
No, I'm not. I'm doing terrible. Let's
Fans
be
are
honest.
not happy. The coach is ready to pull you. You need to make a save.
Okay, I'm on it.
Ready?
Okay.
Oh!
I'm on one now. Let's go.
You got to save. Look at that. Ready?
Why do you go between my legs? It makes me look so stupid.
You want me to go 100%?
100%.
100%.
100%. All right,
on.
3-0. It's fine. Don't get skunked, Trev. Don't get skunked. I felt really confident in that one, too, just for a second.
That was a good hack. Oh, let's see that backhand. Oh!
You got that on camera? Good. I just
There
scored
we go.
against the #1 player in the world. Here we go. I really want there to be a fault thing.
Go again. Go ahead.
No, we're playing. Up to 11, right? Win by 2.
Yes, sir.
Carry the 9.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You hate to see it. Oh, you got it. Nice shot.
Was that a point? No.
Not a point, unfortunately. Ah, no. Nice. That's it. I'm retired.
Did that go in?
I'm retired. I think so.
Really appreciate you not hitting me in the face with that.
I'm kind of bummed I didn't get the chance to hit you in
You had
at
the
least the
chances.
chest. At least the chest.
Yeah.
Can we dunk at your age? I don't know if we can or not. I mean, what the heck?
Oh, this is gonna hurt. Nope. I can, just not in jeans, probably.
I know.
Yeah. Off the
Good.
glass?
Whoa. A little bit rusty on the
that's gonna
shooting.
make-
It's a drop step straight up. No
Yeah.
dribble. Okay?
No, Joel.
No dribble. Yep. Good.
Is that good?
Good.
That's
That
the
was
famous good. You know what pains me most is that I actually did dunk that day. We just didn't get it on video. How convenient that the video wasn't rolling when I actually did dunk in jeans and non-basketball shoes. Has nothing to do with me being 41. By the way, sports are indoors and outdoors, and I consider myself a little bit of an outdoor enthusiast. Enjoy a little tour of the state of some of the stories that we've collected from the outdoors.
We're going to have 4 jumps in a row, back to back.
This U.S. mail boat thing is very, very unique.
There's other places that deliver mail by boat, and some of them carry passengers, but this is really the only one I know of that does it like us, where you're doing individual deliveries around the lake as we go and getting that narration.
In the box. And now she's going for a run. She's going from 90 to 89. Look at this.
Oh my God.
She's burning a lot of calories. All the way down the shore. Wow, this is a mini run. Is she gassed? Nope, just a quick wave. That's the muskie bell. Tell us about that quick.
That's right. When a guest of ours catches a muskie, any muskie over 30 inches long, they come and they ring the bell to celebrate their catch and alert the whole resort that they caught a muskie.
Do we have to be quiet? Is this like hunting?
You
Or
don't
doesn't
have,
that matter?
You know, the talking doesn't seem to bother things.
Well, that's good because I talk a bit.
The proportion of losing baits is equal to the proportion of losing clients.
I caught a leaf. Okay, so this is absolutely insane. I've never, ever been on the infield during a race. Loud, lots going on. There's 3 laps to go in this race. This is nuts. I really don't know how to describe the level of energy when there's a race happening literally 30 yards And now here they come again. It is like non-stop action at this track. One thing I noticed about watching a race in the infield of a racetrack, you get dizzy. I caught myself doing this, watching the race, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. This is so awesome. I'm gonna fall and bust my face. Okay, Trev, okay. What time does it start? 8:30? Half an hour. I'm gonna have 3 sodas and 4 things of this popcorn, and then I'm probably gonna fall asleep. Oh, go this way? Yeah, let's go this way. Oh, don't wreck the car. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Oh. No Jeep hoods were damaged in the making of Deeper Roots. Okay, that's a lie. Maybe a little bit of a dent on my hood. Listen, I love all you people that are like, let me introduce you to a door. Yeah, I get it. And I was kind of stuck. I had a soda and popcorn. Appreciate your sympathy. Anyway, all right, moving on. Heartfelt side of Deeper Roots. I certainly have a soft heart, and I'm grateful for the opportunities to share the deep-hearted side of Wisconsin. This tractor that's right here, this is the one that you said my grandpa drove a lot. This is definitely the tractor that I sat in with him.
I'm sure.
Right up on that. No, I don't fit. Like my son would probably fit there just like I did when I was a kid. 6 years ago, you set out to bring to this community as a 15-year-old.
Yep.
And here we are. You brought it. It's here. When was this built?
This was built in June 23rd of this year.
And on this wall, this is a scaled down version of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. And on this wall are the names of all of the fallen soldiers from Wisconsin that gave the ultimate sacrifice in the Vietnam War.
It's a community effort, not just me. I'm just a simple person from Holmgren High School. Decided, you know what, I decided to do something for the community, for our Vietnam veterans. Because listen, Trevor, they poured their blood, sweat, and tears, hopes and dreams to defend our way of life. You just got to go back into your parents' house.
Unbelievable. I think that's the first time I've set foot in it since 1981. The people were pulling out, and so I just asked them to roll down the window to say like, hey, I'm not a stalker, I'm not casing the joint.
I think that's the best part about that is they could have received that in a completely different way because we were outside of their house for quite some time.
I went in and like the house is, I mean, they painted over some stuff, but they can't move with the floor plan. Kitchen's right where the kitchen's supposed to be. The living room's supposed to be where the living room is. There's the fireplace and the master bedroom, which is my parents. There's a young man, he's probably 10 or 11 in there now. They have taken out the astronaut wallpaper, which is a little disappointing.
I'm a softie. It is what it is. I also really enjoy the soft side of Wisconsin dining and wine and beer and cheese and all the things that we know ourselves for here in the great state of Wisconsin.
We're gonna come, yeah. So now we have to be really quiet.
What are we about to taste?
We are about to taste Domaine Reserve. So I'm gonna pull the bung.
Yeah, what is the piece called that you are about to serve the wine on?
This is called the Wine Thief.
Thief?
I'm thieving it out of the barrel,
I like
yeah.
that.
So
Stealing.
You hold your glass right up next to mine. So the trick is to be the one with the thief, because if you're serving a whole bunch of people, you always get the most wine at the end.
This is the cork,
Yep,
right?
It's called the bung.
The bung?
Yeah.
Trevor, be a mature adult. I have one more request, and I'm hoping you don't hit me.
Okay, bring it.
A grasshopper.
Well, I got to go back to the ice cream parlor here. Are you coming with?
Yeah. Am I coming with? You said ice cream.
The trick is the ice cream, because this is what makes it taste great.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with the liqueur.
That's the same no matter what in the bottle.
Oh, are you saying it's the kind of ice cream?
Yes.
Are you going to let us know what it is, or probably not?
Well,
trade secret?
I don't think it's my place to tell you, but it's delicious. So I'm looking at a
What'd you just put in there?
green cream de mint.
Green cream de mint.
And then the white cream de cocoa. This is what gets you the old.
The rosy cheeks, is that what you're saying?
No, that back here in the.
Oh, that. I got it. Whipped cream?
We make it ourselves here.
Of course you do. A little drizzle. Oh, you're perfect. Perfect.
Just need you a straw and we're in business.
Well, we're gonna start with vanilla, which is our own special recipe mix.
Yeah, you make this.
That only we have.
Yep.
And we're gonna put some bananas on there.
Do you not know how to open a banana without a knife? What was that?
This is the quick Sunday way to open it. When you gotta open 1,000 a day, you got no time to monkey around. So what we got here is a caramel special. Bananas, caramel, chopped nuts, For you, Trevor.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
I appreciate this.
I believe we have somewhere to the tune of about 20 some fancy sundaes on our menu.
I'm done talking. You can.
Bananas.
It's your show now, bud.
Yeah, you chow down. Bananas, pineapple, strawberries, marshmallow, Jimmy's.
Hopefully you had fun taking a trip down the last 2 years of memory lanes here on Deeper Roots with our friends at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback. So many people love what we're doing with the Inside Wisconsin show, but really there's so many others that just really dig the Deeper Roots side of what we produce with Farm and Fleet. Remember, we can showcase you, your story, your family, your friends, your business. Head to the website, farmandfleet.com/deeperroots. Just fill out the form. You're not going to get any marketing materials or advertising. It's just your way of communicating with us that there's a story that should be featured here on Deeper Roots. As you were, Wisconsin, until next time, Grandpa, take it away.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.